Good morning. Good morning to everyone, all of our champions that are out there. I'm Rita Santa Maria. I'm the owner, founder of Champions School of Real Estate. And it is always my pleasure to say thank you for your business. And thank you so much for choosing Champions School of Real Estate. This is one of our ways of saying we want you to be successful. Every month we have an interview with 2 successful agents and or brokers. We bring it to you, whether it's Facebook Live, certainly in our classrooms, our virtual classrooms, because everything that our interviewees, I like to call them superstars, everything they say most definitely will help you with your business. And with that being said, I want to make sure that you have your pen, your paper, your iPad, whatever you use in order to take notes, because you're going to get some really fine ideas from my family today. And that is the title of the interview today, is I want you to meet my family that I am so very, very proud of. Kevin Dydalewicz, my son-in-law, and Kelly Shearer, my daughter. But I'm going to formally introduce them in a few minutes. First, I want to give a shout out to the North Dallas Plano campus. That is where actually Kimberly Dydalewicz, Kevin's wife and the president of our company, offices. Hello, Kimberly. I know you're watching today. And as well to Fort Worth, our wonderful campus there right off Camp Bowie. And then we have our Austin campus that is right off 183 and the 620 loop. And we have our San Antonio campus that we love. And then we move on into Houston. We have our West Campus on Highway 6. Hello, West Campus. And then we have the Galleria in the heart of the Galleria area. And then our beautiful new Houston North. And that's where I office. That's where we just finished our 2-story, state-of-the-art, beautiful twin building to the Austin campus. And during our promo loop, you saw pictures of the Austin campus, the Houston North campus. You saw my studio that you can tell I'm not in today because we had to do a little bit of extra work on that. But it will be ready on the 11th of February when we do our next interview. So virtual students, classroom students, Facebook friends, thank you for being here today. This is going to be so much fun for me and for Kelly and for Kevin, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, by the way, I want to introduce Kelly, my daughter, and Kelly Shearer. She is an agent with Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty, specializes in the Woodlands. And so happy to have you here today, Kelly Shearer.
Thank you.
And I know you're in your home office right now, and it looks beautiful. And then I want to introduce my son-in-law, Kevin Dydalewicz. Kevin's in his office in Frisco. Kevin has his own company. It's Thad Realty. And Kevin Dydalewicz, I just have to tell you, that is like the most wonderful name for a company. My wonderful students why I love that name.
Absolutely. I get asked that all the time. Who's Edward Thad? So Edward Thad are the middle names of our 2 sons. So we have Knox, Edward, and Caden's dad. So it means a great deal to me. And one day, hopefully, to pass it to those guys if they decide to go into real estate. And it's meaningful and has a purpose. So I love it.
Well, I love it too, because obviously it's the uh, middle names of my grandsons. And the first one being Edward is the name of my dad. And with that being said, Kelly Shearer, this, of course, would be Kelly's grandfather that was in real estate. And I have to say, Kimberly and I, Kelly's sister, and I have been after Kelly to go into real estate for a number of years because she just had all of the attributes of what I know, we know, go into a very fine agent. But that being said, Kelly, what actually, if you can tell our customers, our friends, our students, was the turning point that made you decide, okay, I'm going to go into real estate? What was that particular moment?
Well, I think that moment came when our oldest child left for college. Going into real estate was something that I had wanted to do for a very, very long time, but I just couldn't wrap my mind around how I was going to fit it in to managing my family and volunteering and all of those other ways that I was spending my time. So when our daughter went off to school, I thought it would be, a little more extra time on my hands. I started taking my classes with the intent of slowly taking my courses and then getting my license and then holding on to it until our youngest left and we were empty nesters. But once I got into my courses at Champions, I got so excited and I fell in love with real estate even more and just decided to go full steam ahead. And I haven't regretted it at all. It's been wonderful.
Well, we couldn't be happier because we really knew that it was like just a perfect fit. And of course, the grandchild she's talking about that went off to college is our Shelby Caroline, who's at Tulane Law School right now. And I hope she gets to see it on YouTube tomorrow. She's probably studying away today. But Kelly's been in real estate just a little bit shorter amount of time than Kevin. And Kevin Dydalewicz, tell us what was your defining moment where you decided to take that plunge into real estate?
Wow, the defining moment, we touched on this yesterday when I spoke with you and Kelly, but I was coaching at the time as teacher coach, and we were at the lake house. And I don't know if you remember this or not, but you grabbed me aside and we had a conversation about real estate. And we sat and you showed me a business plan. It was 3 to 4 hours you sat with me. And we went through the entire business plan. And at that time, I was spending, I love coaching, but I was spending more time with other people's kids than my own. And the opportunity of real estate, one, provided me my own schedule, and two, provided me more time with family. And that was the turning point for me.
I remember that very, very well because I happened to have had one of my books there. And Kevin, I just want to thank you for allowing me to take 4 hours of your time that day and walking you through that. But in the book, 30 Days to Success, which also, by the way, thank you, Kevin. I know you use that as your training manual for your agents. Yeah.
Hey, this is not a plug for Champion. I was not told to do this, but I would like to say this. I teach this to my agents, and it's an absolute wonderful tool. And if you do not have it and you're new, you need to get this. It tells you what to do daily, and it's part of our training here at Edward That. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And I promise we did not even plan that. I was just going to let them know that on page 4 and 5, that's the business plan that they start with to work that out so that at the end of the year, you actually know where you're going to be. instead of at the end of the year wondering, well, why didn't I make as much money as I wanted? So this gives you a step-by-step process. So thank you, Kevin. And I'm so proud of you. You have your office in Liberty Hill, which is in the Georgetown, Austin area, in the Hill Country. And then you opened recently your office in Frisco, and that's where you're sitting right now. And I'm so very proud of both of you. So that question I asked is just to remind everyone watching today, our new people in the classroom, people come from all walks of life, and it's really a certain point in your life that you realized, I can now be my own boss. I can now be an entrepreneur. And that's what allowed you to sit in our classrooms today, whether it's our traditional classrooms that we now have open, or whether it is our virtual classrooms or online. Something happened in your life that said, now I can do it. So let me ask that beginning question of Kelly. When you started out in real estate, what was the most fearful thing that you dealt with? What scared you the most?
I think what scared me the most was I was worried about, will I be able to manage my career responsibilities with my responsibilities at home? I really was nervous about, perhaps missing an activity for one of the kids or something like that. And I have to say, I did not miss a thing when I started. I was so fearful of just, not being able to be there for my family and manage a full-time demanding career. But it really truly is flexible, and you can make it work with your lifestyle for sure.
So Kevin, what was most fearful for you?
Well, at the time that I decided to get into real estate, we had just moved to Frisco, Texas. So I knew nobody. And the first thing they tell you in real estate is, hey, tell your family and friends. And usually one of your first deals comes from a family or friend. Well, I knew nobody here in Frisco. So that was a major hurdle. But just like anything else, you throw yourself in the fire and just started meeting people and telling them what I do. Not being a secret agent. My wife loves to tell me that. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kimberly, my wife, but she is A+ type personality go-getter. And she tells me constantly, do not be a secret agent. Do not be a secret agent. So I'm constantly telling people what I do, and that helped me get over that hurdle.
Okay, well, I'm going to now ask you to tell our students about the first marketing activity that you did, because it required a lot of self-confidence to do that marketing activity that Kimberly encouraged you to do. So would you tell our students about, and you know what I'm talking about, that very scary marketing activity?
I do. My first marketing activity, my wife is a marketing guru, so she had this awesome plan. And we used to go get Starbucks every morning. So she said, why don't you go talk to the Starbucks manager and ask if you can buy, several amounts of donuts and hand those out with people buying coffee in the morning. And I was like, are you kidding me? You want me to interrupt people and hand out donuts? So I did. I actually walked in to Starbucks. I spoke to the manager and said, hey, I'm new to the area. I'm a real estate agent. We live right across the street. We come here every day. I'd like to set up a table outside with my marketing material, and I'd like to purchase 200 old-fashioned donuts. And so I did, and had a little brochure with my business card. And so the people came out with their coffee. I handed them the donut. And that was my first marketing, getting my name out there. And it worked. It really did work.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, there are students right now listening to that thinking he stood outside of Starbucks, handed out donuts, and oh my gosh, I'm not sure if I could do that. And I know he and I have talked about this because, yes, it took a lot of courage. But what's really kind of funny to me is, since I know you, and I'm going to mention this because it just came up this week, Kevin graduated from Concordia University. He was there on a basketball scholarship. And just this week, there was a press release about the unfortunate passing of one of their favorite coaches, certainly Kevin's favorite coach. And in that press release, it mentioned that Kevin Dydalewicz was an all-time scoring record basketball player for Concordia. I think you scored like 1,761 points, but who's counting, during your career. And so I'm saying to all of you, this man who all-time scoring for Concordia University, number 4 record, stood outside of Starbucks and passed out donuts to get business. So we do whatever we need to do to get our name out there and to get our business going. And I just feel like that's such an inspirational example of what sometimes you have to do to get started. So thanks for that. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Kelly Shearer, what did you do to get started in real estate? And what do you think works for a new person?
Well, in order to start my business, I definitely am not the type of personality that could stand in front of Starbucks. So kudos to you, Kevin. I could never do that. I was a little more low key, but still the same, did not want to be a secret agent. We get that, drilled into us when we're starting our careers. So the very first thing I did was organize a list of all of the people in my circle of influence and put that together in what's called an SOI, or a sphere of influence spreadsheet. And these are all people that are friends, family members, neighbors, people that know and trust you. And then I let all of them know that I was now a realtor. And then I continued to remind them that I was a realtor, and I still do, because everybody knows so many different realtors. And, they have a choice and, who they're going to use or who they're going to refer. So, I was taught by champions, I was taught by my manager that, it's really important to stay top of mind with people. And so I guess my, biggest tool was just communication with the people in my circle.
I hope everyone's writing that down, because exactly in all of our marketing classes, and please take our Powerhouse Marketing class. And as well, you can take Marketing 1 as well. That particular book was written by Randy Smith, and Powerhouse Marketing, I wrote that. Those books tell you how to make money in real estate, but in every one of those books, it's exactly what Kelly says. Right now, get all of your centers of influence together so that when you get that license and you are ready to go, you will have every media out there available in today's world to let them know that you are now in business. And I love the secret agent, because we use that all the time. You just really have to wear your name badge, have your business cards, you're on social media, doing everything you can to let people know that you've changed careers and now you're in real estate as a specialist, whether it's commercial, residential, property management, you are in real estate. So, Kevin, what 1 or 2 activities do you highly recommend to new people that come into the Edward Thad Realty?
Well, we touched on it a little bit, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but don't be a secret agent, right? And you want to do something and get involved in something that you like. I can tell you my first couple of deals came from the boys' sporting events, meeting other parents. Hey, what do you do? Well, I'm in real estate. First couple of deals came from that. So I would say dive into something that you enjoy, right? And let everybody know who you are. Second of all, I would definitely say that you want to start farming your area. You've heard that, right? All brokers say this, all teachers say this, farming your area, where you live. You want to be the specialist where you live. So dive in, find out everything you can about your neighborhood, join the HOA, join the board. Those are some great ways to get good traction getting into real estate.
Kevin, what comes to mind that would be your most satisfying transaction that you've done? Can you give a description of what that might have been and why it was so satisfying, and maybe some of the steps involved in order to have that particular transaction stand out in your mind?
Sure. Every real estate transaction is different, right? We all know that. And everyone is special. I think when I try to connect, I talk about this in the prep class that I've taught for champions before. Real estate, I love seeing a family get into their new home, right? They're making the biggest purchase of their life, most of the time. And to see the joy and excitement of somebody owning a home for the first time, that's my favorite. I love that. And that's why I do it. It's a great feeling. You're helping somebody. But I would say, Kelly touched on this yesterday. The most rewarding deals for me is when my friends call me. Matter of fact, I had a closing last month outside of Austin, Wimberley, Texas. And one of my best friends from high school called me and said, "Hey, can you help my son find his home?" And we did. And so to have one of my close peers and friends trust in me to help their kid find a home, it was special. So I love it. That's why I do it.
It's such a good feeling when you know you're helping someone, and when you help someone, the money comes. So it's not focusing on the money, it's focusing on helping. Kelly Shearer, and by the way, I just want to say, if you want to know what Kimberly looks like, take a look at Kelly Shearer today on camera. And my two daughters look very, very similar. And I know my teachers right now, Kelly, are going, "Oh my gosh, Kelly looks so much like Kim," as even her husband, Kevin, said yesterday. It was on camera. I mean, we see each other all the time. But on camera, he's like, "Oh my gosh, Kelly, you and Kim just look so much alike." But Kelly, what satisfying transaction comes to mind for you that maybe stands out?
Well, I think most recently I helped a family who also happened to be longtime friends sell their property. It had been listed for over 4 years with a couple different other agents, and they reached out to me last spring. And asked if I would like to take over the listing. And I was so flattered and honored, and just that they would trust me. And to make a long story short, I took over the listing, marketed it to death because I was determined to help these people get to move on to their next phase. And it sold last fall, and helped them find their new place, which they love. And I was just so happy to be able to help my clients get to move on to their next place, their next chapter, and just to be a part of that and to make it as smooth and efficient and enjoyable as possible. It was really satisfying.
I know when you started out, the first year, you would say to me, "When do you think I'm really going to feel like that I have regular business coming in?
Mhm.
And when do I start feeling comfortable or confident that there will be transactions in the pipeline?" Thinking back, when did you actually hit that turning point where you started feeling like, "Okay, it's really going to happen. My career is together"? What do you think?
I think right around the 2 year mark. You had told me that that's about how long it takes to get kind of consistent business rolling in the door. Now, of course, some people get it going a little faster. Some people it takes a little longer. But for me, it was right around 2 years where I started getting more consistent referrals, and not so much time in between transactions. I think the important thing when you are starting out and you're in between transactions, you have a little more downtime, is to use that time to learn as much as possible. And, I used that time to take my continuing education at Champions. I took as many training courses through my company as I could and just tried to fill myself with as much knowledge as possible in between, and still do.
I love it. And talking about education, I just want to brag on both of you because, in all of our classrooms, we have the little statement, the more you learn, the more you earn, knowledge is power. But at the same time, both of you have taken it to heart. I don't think there's a single designation we have that both of you have not taken. I know over the pandemic, every time I turned around, Kevin was in class on virtual taking designation courses. And I was just so really impressed with that. And I know, Kelly, right away, you took the CHMS staging class. And I see for myself how that helped you a bunch. But thank you both for taking those designation classes. But I also know in my heart that it helped a lot with your business. And I'm so pleased for that. So, Kevin, at what point did you feel like that, okay, I've got this career, I've transitioned from being a high school coach, teacher, into real estate? Was there a moment or something that happened in your life where you realized, okay, I can depend on this pipeline?
Sure. Kelly touched on it, so I'm going to piggyback off of Kelly. It was around the 2-year mark until I had referrals coming in, right? But just because you have referrals coming in, I didn't stop doing the farming, right? And the still introducing. And then at that point, the deals coming in and referrals were more like icing on the cake. You still have to keep marketing yourself, right? So about the 2-year mark, and I'm also going to say this, don't let Kelly fool you. She is a rock star. It did not take her 2 years. She is a luxury agent in the Woodlands, and she is awesome. So I'm putting that in there for you, Kelly, but
Thank you, Kevin.
don't let her fool you. She's a rock star.
She is. And yet, across the board, we always tell everyone it takes about 2 years to get started. And both of you really got started within your first year, but I'm not sure we ever feel totally confident that the next transaction is going to happen. Kelly's aunt and my sister is a longtime agent broker in South Florida. And I know Kelly talks to Linda. And Linda, having been in the business for like 30 some years, she still says, every month I look to see what's in the pipeline, to see what's coming down the road. But obviously, she has spent a lifetime with that being her career and loves it very much. So let's talk about a day in the life of a real estate agent and how you actually can have a personal life as well as a business life. So what would be an example of a day in the life of Kelly Shearer? What is that like as a professional?
Well, the thing I love about real estate is no 2 days are alike. And a lot of things pop up during the day that you're not expecting. A client will call, they want to see a home, they want to write a contract. And so for me, in order to feel like I'm ready to tackle my day, I get up pretty early. And if I have any outstanding paperwork to do, any research to do for clients, I try to do that, right away, first thing in the morning, and really focus when the house is quiet and get all of that done. And then, just depending on what appointments I have, then I'll go from there. If I have any training, if I have a sales meeting for my company, I'll attend. But usually my afternoons are left open for my clients. And then a lot of times the evenings as well. So I try to make the most of my mornings to get all of my paperwork and all of those things done to keep me organized.
Perfect. That gives everybody a good idea. Kevin, What about you? Can you piggyback onto that? Is it the
Absolutely.
same, different?
Absolutely. Same thing. I think routine is key, right? Try to get in a daily routine. Like Kelly mentioned, get up early, return emails. And then I also think a big key, and this is something I teach for the agents that come into our brokerage, is have all your systems in place. Because Kelly said it right. No day is exactly the same, right? You're going to get that phone call. Hey, I'd like to see this house, especially in our market, right? We're in a wonderful market here in Texas. So if anybody tells you, the real estate, there's too many real estate agents, don't worry about getting your license. It's too hard to get started. Baloney, right? So systems in place are huge. And once you have that and try to stick to a routine, it allows for you to take that phone call. Hey, I want to go see this house. So those are probably the two most important things to me: routine and systems. Have your systems in place.
I always loved, and as some of you know, and many don't know, when I started out, I was a teacher for a short time, and then I went into real estate in Plano. And I always loved the fact that I could say to my clients, I already have an appointment. And that appointment may have been picking up one of my children from school or daycare and or doing something with them. And I believe totally in my heart that yes, it does allow you to be flexible to an extent. And yet I know there are weekends where I'll call Kelly and say, hey, let's have brunch or let's have lunch or get together. And because she just lives very short distance from my home, our home. And she'll say, well, I'm showing property today. And my reply to her is, yay, good for you, because you don't know tomorrow how many clients you may or may not have. So talking about business and talking about how the day goes, how did things change for you in the way you did business in 2020 with the pandemic? And I know especially our new people would be curious as to how you all, frankly, in real estate overall, it was the best year ever. That's from Dr. Purdue at A&M University Research Center. And real estate and the surrounding parts of real estate, loan and appraisal and title, they all did so well. Kevin, how did real estate and the process differ during the pandemic that allowed you to still grow your company?
Well, I will say this: 2020 was our best year, which has allowed for the growth here into now the Frisco market. The thing that changed, obviously, was the personal contact, right? So we've done a lot of Zoom meetings with the agents, our weekly meetings. And then also for clients, I can't tell you how many of my agents actually went to a house and FaceTime their client and walk the home. And that's been really big for our transactions in 2020. That probably is the major key of just that personal touch and being, with your client or with your agents face to face. But Zoom helped out a ton in that. And like I said, we're in a fabulous market here in Texas, and it's provided great growth for our company. And I know for a lot of my other broker friends as well. So it's business as usual.
It worked. We were just flexible. We went with the change. What about closings, Kelly? Were your clients okay closing virtually, or how did that work for you?
So I didn't participate in any virtual closings last year. However, I had a couple clients that did drive-through closings where we pulled up in the parking lot and the closer came out with the documents and they signed from their car. And then we kind of graduated to closings where only my clients were allowed inside the closing room and I stayed outside in the lobby. And now, I like to attend all of my clients' closings. And so that was hard to be out in the lobby. But now, for the most part, The title companies have been very, very careful about keeping everybody safe. And every closing I've had for the last half of last year involved a huge plexiglass partition across the closing table, masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, um, and it's worked just fine. But I didn't have any virtual ones. That would have been interesting.
So our classroom students, our virtual students are thinking, gosh, this must have been really easy for them. It sounds like every day is just, here's how it works, here's how it goes. So I'm going to bring everybody back to real world, because I did ask Kevin and Kelly to maybe think of a transaction that was a little more challenging and how they got through that, just to let you know that there are challenges out there once you're licensed. So, Kevin, can you give us an example of one of your challenging closings?
Absolutely. My very first real estate transaction. And my manager at the time was a lady by the name of Julie Brown. And she'll never forget this one. So I had a listing, and my clients had this big, beautiful chandelier when you walked in the entry. Beautiful chandelier. Never mentioned anything about it. We got a contract. Buyers did their inspection. Everything came back. We're ready for closing. Buyer's agent calls me and says, hey, we're going to do a walkthrough the day before closing. I'm like, great. I'm excited. It's my first closing. And I get a phone call from the agent, and the agent walks in and goes, where is the chandelier? I'm like, what are you talking about? Right there in the entry. They're like, no, there was a different chandelier here before. Where's the chandelier? And I said, I don't know. Let me make a phone call real quick. So I called my client and I said, hey, where's the chandelier? In the entry, the beautiful chandelier. And they said, well, it's a family heirloom. We took it down. And I said, no. I said, we didn't exclude that. You guys didn't mention that you were going to take that. I said, we need to either put that back up or replace it with something that's comparable, right? They had gone to Lowe's and put up just a little fixture. So that was my first and oh my gosh, in panic mode, but had a great manager. We got them to purchase a similar chandelier, and we closed. And that was my very first transaction, very first deal. And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know about real estate right out the gate. But I tell you what, every real estate transaction is different. You learn every time, and that's the beauty of it. It's not the same thing over and over and over again. So that's my story.
You just gave a great learning lesson there, in that we know that a chandelier is a fixture, but I'm just going to say to all of our students, when in doubt, please just go ahead and line item every single thing that you know is important that made that house special, so that it's there at the closing, and most definitely after the closing. But that was a good learning experience. And yet I'm going to say, Kevin, as you already know, 99% of the time, the chandelier would have been left as it should have been. But it was a learning lesson.
Guess what my first question is on every listing? Did you hear me? I said, guess what my first question is on every listing with one of my agents? You plan on keeping that chandelier?
You're right.
So, yeah.
Is that chandelier going to be here? And
Right.
Are you taking it with you? Definitely. So, Kelly, have you had a trying or a learning experience that helped you?
I've had many of them. The one that stands out, though, was with my first listing that I ever had. It was great. It was an awesome house, had just been updated. We were under contract with multiple offers in just a few days on the market, and everything was going great until the appraisal. And we received the appraisal back, and it had appraised for significantly less than the sales price. And it was quite a surprise. And unfortunately, instead of trying to figure out, what the problem was with the bank and the buyers just decided to terminate and move on because the price was such that it freaked them out and they just wanted to leave. So my poor sellers were very disappointed, devastated, so much that they decided not to move because that was so traumatizing for them. And so we took the house off the market, and luckily they were just staying local, so they didn't have to be anywhere by a certain time. And I just could not believe that my very first listing fell apart like that. It was devastating. But about a year later, I stayed in contact with them throughout the year, checking on them. And about a year later, I got a text that they were ready to try again. And same thing, we were under contract in just, I think, 2 or 3 days, and ended up selling for a little bit more than the year before and appraising for more than what the sales price was. So the complete opposite experience 1 year later. But that first go around, that was really tough as my first listing. It was very stressful.
I think the moral of that story is also that they stayed with you.
Yeah. Luckily, they didn't blame me.
I mean, the year came around and they were ready to do it again, and everything went together so well. So that says a lot about you and your relationship. Do you prefer to work with buyers or sellers, Kelly? Do you have a preference?
I really enjoy working with both. They both have their, different challenges. They both have different opportunities. I love getting a house ready to go on the market. I love staging. I love, the first weekend and, pre-COVID, the first open house and all of the excitement. So I really enjoy that aspect. But then with buyers, I absolutely love going out and looking at homes and helping them find the perfect one, and kind of, learning what's important to them, learning about their family, how they live. And so I think I really enjoy both. I like to have a balance of both.
What about you, Kevin? Do you have a preference between buyers or sellers?
I do not. We like them all. I think it's important for agents to know both sides and be very good at both sides to be a well-rounded agent. So we take them all.
I think that's a really smart attitude and opinion because sometimes when you don't have the listings, wow, you really need those referrals for those buyers. And of course, right now, having listings is just really a great thing because they're selling so well. And yet I also love it, as Dr. Purdue said from A&M University, that soon we're going to have either half the state of California living in Texas or half the state of Florida. Florida, California, they love our Texas and just moving here consistently. So I know both of you work really diligently, and obviously I see it all the time. And I also know that you have a family life as well. So for those that are getting into the business that I will meet in the hallway at our school, and they'll say, how do I manage having a family and a business? And as we all know, you really are your own boss now when you're in real estate. You are an entrepreneur, and everything you do has a direct effect on the bottom line. So how do you manage being a parent, a business professional, and still having a life, a personal life? How does that work for you? And I'm hoping my daughter says, well, she just did it by example of her mother. In case you don't say that, Kelly, I'll just say it for you, okay? Kelly, how do you really do it?
Well, by the example of that my mother taught me, of course. And honestly, like, I'm laughing, but that's true. That really is. I can't remember anything important to our family that my mom has ever missed because of work. And I think, that's really, really important. And so I guess in balancing my home life, I make sure and get those, when the kids were at home, lacrosse games, football games, special events, birthdays on my calendar. And I just don't schedule anything during those. Um, and I work on the weekends because a lot of weekends I don't have a lot going on, and that's fine. But if there was a sporting event or something I didn't want to miss, it's definitely pretty easy to work around. You tell your clients when you're available, and you pick a time. And so I think the most important thing is being organized with your life and having your calendar planned out so you can make appointments and work around it. But then also, sometimes you do have to work like on a holiday, or I've missed a couple 4th of Julys because clients have been in town and wanted to look that day. It just, you have to balance, wanting to be there for those things, time with your family, and also making a living. And so there are some sacrifices involved. But I'd say for the most part, just, making your family a priority, and then working your business around that is what works.
Very well said. And certainly knowing both of you firsthand, without question, I see it in action that you do that, Kelly Shearer, and you do it well. Kevin, what about you? Tell our group how you manage to make it work.
Same thing as Kelly. I think one of the big keys for Kimberly and I, because she's very busy being the president of Champion School of Real Estate, we understand each other, right? We understand the demands that each of us have. One, her running the company, me running a brokerage. So there's kind of checks and balances with that, right? And then it's important to have a schedule. I think that's huge. Like Kelly said, we're a huge, and for people that don't know this out there, the Shears, Kelly and her kids and our kids, we're a very athletic family. It was important to me growing up. My parents never missed an activity, a school function, and I do the same thing with my kiddos. So I would think systems in place, having a schedule, and then having a spouse and people in your corner that can, take the kids while you go show a house, right? I do know this though, if you're a real estate agent and you're really getting after it, right? You really want to be successful, or you're a broker, you're always working, right? Late at night, early in the morning. Flexibility in your schedule is great, but if you're not working, you're not making any money. So
You make it work. Make it work. I always like to tell people in our books, especially it's appropriate in our marketing books, that as you embark on this new career, it is so important that you sit down and have a family meeting on how it's going to work, and that mom, dad may not be totally available as they were 7 days a week or Saturday and Sunday, but that's what mom, dad, or dad has to do in order to get this new career started. And just make sure that the family understands. And because of that, and because of the income mom or dad will now soon be making, it allows us to take those trips that are so much fun as a family. So I think the communication on everything is just so very important, and the respect that each other have for each one's particular role in the family. And I just want, and with all my heart, with pride, say congratulations, because I see both of you do it so very, very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Now, for a new person that is embarking on the career, and based on your experience in real estate, Kelly, not as long as Kevin, but most definitely a number of years in the business for both of you. What particular activity do you think has generated the most referrals for you? So if you were to tell a brand new person, Once you get that license and you've already put your center of influence list together, okay, we've done that. But what activity should they be doing right now? Could they be doing right now? And or when they get their license, that will help jumpstart their career. So, Kevin, you want to take that one?
Sure, absolutely. I think database sphere of influence is key, right? And you want to make sure that you're touching those people constantly, right? You want to let people know what you do. So anything from drip campaigns to mailers, uh, I would say that's huge, right? You want to get to know your sphere of influence, birthdays, you know, holidays, graduations, you name it, stuff like that. So the most information that you can find out from your clients and staying in touch and showing them that you actually care, right? I think that's huge. And having a database to track it, right? A CRM system, something that you can log in. Hey, well, I sent out this month. What am I doing next month and the following month and the following quarter? So I would say that is key right out the gate.
And I know everybody wrote that down. And I know they also want to go to YouTube tomorrow. Our Joseph Owens will have everything that has been said on YouTube. We don't take these wonderful questions on chat, but I will reply back to you after today's interview, but it will be on YouTube tomorrow. So, Kelly, what advice would you give to a new person to right now get going and or after they get their license?
Well, first of all, what Kevin said is absolutely correct. You have to let all the people that know and trust you know that you now have this new career, and then continue to remind them for as long as you're a realtor. um, Secondly, I think open houses are great. I was very lucky, and my first office that I worked for, um, wonderful agents that were so supportive of each other. It was a great culture, and they were very willing to let new agents hold their listings open for them. And that was important to me because not only was it an opportunity to meet potential clients who, came to the open house, maybe that wasn't the home for them, but maybe we could strike up some type of rapport. I could follow up with them and maybe help them find what they were looking for. So that was very helpful to find clients. But also it was when I felt like I was actually a realtor before I started my business. When I was just getting started, it would allow me to do research before the open house, kind of talk the talk when people came in the door, and it kind of gave me the confidence to go forward in my new career. So I would say definitely once you start, find some nice agents in your office who have several listings and offer to hold them open for them. And maybe do, one on a Saturday, one on a Sunday. You could do two each day. They're usually very happy to have their houses held open for them because it makes their client happy. And then one other thing, definitely utilize your social media. Set up your business Facebook account right away once you become licensed, and then just start posting it. Invite all your friends to like it, and then post interesting things about what you're doing. If you're in a training class, let your people know. If you are hosting an open house, post it there, and that will again remind people that you're a professional and that you have this new career and you know what you're doing.
I love it. So when you are engaged in an activity, you're saying, let your people know what you're doing. Obviously, it's something that connects with that career that you're in. And then it shows them how much of a professional you are, how busy you are, and that you're doing all the things you need to do to enhance your careers.
Rita,
So,
can I say something? I'd like to add something to that too. You probably have students in class right now that may or may not have chosen a broker. I will say this too, just to add to that, if you're new coming into business, every brokerage has their own model, right? And you choose a brokerage based on what model fits you. But I will say this, one key is get with a broker that's going to teach you how to do real estate, right? And give you a game plan or a track to follow to get started in this. I said that is probably the number one key. right? For people that are sitting in class that have not chosen a broker, interview 3 or 4 of them, right? Find which one fits you the best. But education is key, right? Which is why we're here. And then also find you a broker that's going to actually teach you how to do real estate.
Excellent. We have in each of our front offices, and you can find it online, questions to ask a sponsoring broker. And yet, when I walk in the classroom to say thank you for your business, I always want to remember when the question comes up, how do I choose a sponsoring broker? Please, please ask about training. What kind of training do I get? And obviously, that's what you're saying, Kevin. Get someone that's going to give you a plan to get started and an ongoing training plan so that you're not sort of left by the wayside as the years go forward. And every brokerage is not for every person. So if the first one you interview with doesn't work for you, as Kevin said, go on to number 2, go on to number 3 until you find that particular broker that works for you. I want to personalize each of you for just a second and ask a question for my own information. And that is, what 2 classes were your favorite that you took at Champion School of Real Estate? Kelly Shearer, what were they?
Oh, wow. Well, I enjoyed them all, of course. They were wonderful. I would have to say my most favorite would have been the inspection course. And that was after my licensing. I took that as a renewal. And I learned so much about home maintenance. I learned, what to look for in an inspection report. And it was just fascinating. I loved that class. And I also loved my marketing classes because they gave me solid tools to use to start my business and grow my business. So inspection and marketing.
I love that. The inspection class for real estate agents, written by our wonderful Greg Freeman and Roy Carter. And it's good to help you with your own home, but also it's a great course for SAE and all of the marketing courses as well for SAE. Kevin, what were your favorite courses?
I'm going to agree with Kelly on the inspection class. I think that's huge for a real estate agent to know what to look for when you're walking a home with a client or you're listing a home with a client, right? So you can eliminate some red flags there. I would say my second class was probably my most favorite is my MRP designation, which is Military Relocation Professional. Prior to becoming my own broker, I was involved with Coldwell Banker and one of their affinity specialists helping the military. And one of my lenders, name is Harold Martin. They do a lot with the Wounded Warrior Project, Benchmark Mortgage. So I would say that that's probably the one that I enjoyed the most. I appreciate our military personnel very much and happy to always help.
It's a great designation course, and it's an NAR designation course. And as both of you know, because you've taken every one of them, all of our designation courses just help you learn niche areas of real estate that just make you have a little more self-confidence in things like staging, representing buyers in luxury homes, and military relocation. And now to really personalize you and sort of our finale to our conversation today, I'm going to ask you to let our viewers know today, what did you do as your first job? Something they may be surprised to know about you. And Kevin, what did you do before real estate?
Wow, before real estate, well, how far back do you want me to go?
Just before real estate.
Before real estate, I was a teacher and coach. Coached at Lake Travis High School in 3 state championships. I coached Garrett Gilbert, who is the backup to Andy Dalton with the Dallas Cowboys right now, and also Baker Mayfield. So we've got a great relationship. Actually, my oldest son, Caden, and Baker have a great relationship. Caden was a little kid and would ride on the buses with us. and they would all mess with him, and had the opportunity for my son to play in a showcase at Oklahoma while Baker was still there. And he actually came out and saw Caden, and of course Caden, as big as he is now, but yeah, it was a former life.
Have fun, have fun, have fun. And I love it that the kids have had all those wonderful experiences with the people that you coached in high school. And I know you loved your football coaching in high school. And Kelly Shearer, what might surprise our students that you did prior?
Well, my career prior to going into real estate was I was in education as well. I was a 12th grade teacher and taught government and economics in the Cy-Fair School District and oversaw the at-risk program for the seniors there. So,
And I just think it's such a coincidence. All three of us were teachers.
yeah.
And just a coincidence, but I love it that we're able to say how people come from all walks of life to be a real estate professional and to be successful in real estate. And I have loved getting to interview my family. And I am so proud of you, Kelly Shearer, with Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty, and you, Kevin Dydalewicz, broker of Edward Thad Realty. And just to tell all of our students, please, please, please go to YouTube, get some more notes on what they covered today. It will just help make you even more successful. And then we have our 2 books that you saw in the promo from other superstars around the state of Texas. It's How They Became Successful, and you can get those online or in our front office. Next month, I don't know if Joseph would like to put the QR code on. There it is. On February the 11th, we have Carmen Bean with eXp Realty in San Antonio, superstar, talking about the luxury market and just the regular residential market. And Jeff Soul is in the farm and ranch, luxury farm ranch, exotic animals, and resort property in the South Padre Island area. These 2 are both from the San Antonio region. So excited to interview them. Take your phone and bring up the QR code right now, and you can register and get the link for February 11. So I wish we had Kimberly on camera to say, aren't we just so proud? I know I am, and every month I get to interview all of these wonderful superstars. And last fall I thought, I just want to interview my own family and say congratulations on taking the same steps that everybody in the classroom is taking right now and have taken to be where you are today. And I look forward to next month, where we learn more about farm and ranch, resort property, and luxury homes. And it's all free, just to say thank you for your business. So bye-bye, Kelly. Bye, Kevin.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
See you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Students, thank you for your business.